I always tried to be the responsible brother, even when our parents treated me like the backup child. For years, Tyler got away with everything, while I worked twice as hard for half the recognition. When our parents finally saw the truth, they left me their entire $2 million inheritance and the family business. But by then, my brother had already slept with my wife and gotten her pregnant. Now he wants my help. Before I continue this story that changed everything I believed about family, let me know where you are watching from in the comments and hit that like button if you have ever had to make a tough decision about helping someone who betrayed you. Growing up in our middle-class neighborhood in Pennsylvania, I learned early that my brother Tyler and I existed in completely different worlds. 4 years younger than me, Tyler somehow became the center of our family universe. Our father built his construction company from nothing, working 12-hour days, while our mother dedicated herself to making sure we never wanted for anything. At least, that was the theory. In practice, Tyler received most of their attention. When I brought home straight, as my parents would nod and say, "Good job, Jermaine," but when Tyler managed to not fail a class, there would be celebrations and ice cream. I still remember the day I won the state track championship. My parents missed it because Tyler had detention, and they needed to pick him up. That pattern continued throughout our childhood. By 13, Tyler was already building a reputation around the neighborhood. The Jacksons next door found their garage broken into with a bicycle and some tools missing. A week later, I spotted that same bicycle hidden behind our shed. When I confronted Tyler, he threatened to tell our parents I was the one who stole it. I backed down, not wanting to cause more family drama, a decision I would regret many times over. High school only magnified our differences. I joined the debate team, ran track, and maintained a 4-point grade average. Tyler skipped classes, threw parties when our parents were away, and once crashed our father's work truck. When the principal called our parents about Tyler getting caught smoking on school property somehow, I ended up grounded too for not looking after my brother better. College brought me temporary freedom. I attended Penn State on a partial scholarship, still working part-time at a local restaurant to cover the rest of my expenses. Meanwhile, Tyler got accepted into a state college, despite his mediocre grades. He lasted exactly 1 semester before dropping out, claiming college was for people who could not think outside the box. Our parents welcomed him back home without question. After graduation, I landed a job at a financial services firm in Philadelphia. My starting salary was modest, but I felt proud knowing I had earned everything through hard work. During a community cleanup event organized by my company, I met Amanda. She volunteered regularly at the local animal shelter and had the most genuine smile I had ever seen. We connected immediately over our shared love of hiking and classic movies. Our courtship was straightforward and drama-free, which felt refreshing after my chaotic family life. Amanda understood my drive to succeed and supported my long hours building my career. When I proposed after 18 months of dating, she cried happy tears and said yes without hesitation. The wedding planning should have been the happiest time of our lives. The actual wedding day became yet another Tyler showcase. He showed up 30 minutes late to the ceremony, delivered a best man speech that included inappropriate stories about my ex-girlfriends, and tried to hit on Amanda's sister throughout the reception. My parents laughed it off as Tyler being Tyler, while I seethed silently, not wanting to ruin the day. Amanda and I bought our first home, a modest 3-bedroom house in a good school district, planning ahead for the family we hoped to start. Meanwhile, Tyler bounced between odd jobs, never lasting more than a few months anywhere. Our parents continued subsidizing his lifestyle, paying his rent when he got evicted and buying him a new car when he totaled his old one driving under the influence. Each time they would say this was the last time they would bail him out. It never was. Our lives took a sharp turn when Tyler moved back in with our parents at 27 after getting fired from his bartending job for stealing from the register. By this point, Amanda and I had been trying to conceive for nearly 2 years without success. The fertility treatment strained both our finances and our relationship, but we remained committed to starting a family. Tyler wasted no time inserting himself into every aspect of our lives. First came the requests to borrow money, always with elaborate stories about temporary setbacks and promising opportunities just around the corner. When I declined after the 3rd emergency loan, he went straight to our parents, who never refused him. Family gatherings became battlegrounds. During Thanksgiving dinner, Tyler announced he was considering starting his own construction company to compete with our father. When Dad expressed concern about Tyler's lack of experience, Tyler flipped the table and stormed out, leaving us to clean up the mess while our mother chased after him. At Christmas, he showed up with a girlfriend who stole jewelry from our mother's bedroom. No consequences followed. Our father's health began declining that spring. The doctor diagnosed him with congestive heart failure, requiring medication and reduced stress. Mom started showing signs of early dementia, forgetting conversations and getting confused about simple tasks. As their conditions worsened, I gradually took over running the family business, spending evenings at their house, helping with bills and doctor appointments. Tyler contributed nothing. Instead, he helped himself to our father's pain medication, which explained his increasingly erratic behavior and constant need for money. When confronted by me, he denied everything, calling me paranoid and controlling. Our parents believed him until the day Mom caught him searching through their medicine cabinet. The construction company faced its own challenges. A long-term client backed out of a major contract due to economic concerns. I worked 60-hour weeks trying to secure new business while maintaining our existing projects. Amanda and I saw each other less and less, our conversations reduced to logistics and schedules. The fertility treatments continued without success, adding another layer of stress to our strained marriage. Then came the incident that finally opened our parents' eyes. Tyler convinced Dad to let him manage an important renovation project for a valued client. 3 weeks in, the client called furious. Tyler had barely started the work, despite billing for completed phases. Worse, expensive materials had disappeared from the site. The client threatened legal action. I spent days smoothing things over, and personally finished the project at cost, saving the company's reputation but losing $30,000 in the process. This time, even our parents could not ignore Tyler's sabotage. Dad sat him down and removed him from any role in the business. For the first time, I saw genuine disappointment in our father's eyes when he looked at Tyler. That weekend, Dad asked me to accompany him to his lawyer's office. He never said exactly what changed in his will, but he squeezed my shoulder and said, "I should have done this years ago, son. I am sorry it took me so long to see clearly." During this period, Amanda's behavior shifted subtly. She started volunteering for evening shifts at the animal shelter more frequently. Her phone remained permanently locked, and she would step outside to take calls. When I mentioned these changes, she blamed stress and my constant focus on my parents and the business. I accepted her explanation, too exhausted to probe deeper. The breaking point with Tyler came when I discovered he had applied for a business loan using company assets as collateral, forging Dad's signature on the documents. Fortunately, the bank called to verify before processing the application. When I confronted him at our parents' house, Tyler's eyes had the vacant look of someone high on pills. He lunged at me, missing by inches, and crashing into the china cabinet. Our mother screamed as glass shattered across the floor. Dad, despite his weakened heart, stood between us and told Tyler to leave and not come back until he was clean and ready to make amends. That night, our parents formally removed Tyler from any connection to the business. Dad transferred his remaining company shares to me and changed the locks on their house. Tyler left cursing all of us, claiming we had always been against him. We did not hear from him for weeks, which honestly came as a relief to all of us. Summer turned to fall and Dad's condition deteriorated rapidly. The doctors increased his medications, but his heart was failing. Mom seemed to decline alongside him, as if their lives were so intertwined that one could not exist without the other. I divided my time between the hospital, their home, and running the business, often sleeping only 4 hours a night. On a rainy Tuesday in October, I left the hospital earlier than usual. Dad had finally fallen asleep after a painful day, and the nurse suggested I go home to rest. Pulling into our driveway, I noticed an unfamiliar car parked down the street. Something about it seemed vaguely familiar, but I was too tired to place it. The house was unusually quiet when I entered. No greeting from Amanda, no music playing in the kitchen where she usually prepared dinner. I called her name, receiving no answer. Then I heard muffled sounds from upstairs. As I climbed the stairs, my heart began pounding with a dread I could not yet name but somehow understood. The bedroom door was partially open. Inside clothes were scattered across the floor. I recognized Tyler's jacket immediately. Before I could process what was happening, Amanda emerged from our bathroom, wearing only a bathrobe, her face freezing in shock when she saw me. "Jermaine," she gasped. "You were supposed to be at the hospital." Before I could respond, Tyler walked out of the bathroom, a towel wrapped around his waist. No one spoke for what felt like eternity. Finally, Tyler broke the silence with a smirk. "Well, this is awkward," he said, as if we had caught them planning a surprise party rather than destroying my marriage. The confrontation that followed revealed the full extent of their betrayal. The affair had been going on for months, starting when Tyler moved back in with our parents. All those late nights at the animal shelter were actually spent with my brother. The final blow came when Amanda admitted she was pregnant. After years of fertility treatments with me, she was carrying Tyler's child. "He understands me in ways you never did," she said, as if that justified everything. "You have been so focused on the business and your parents that you have not seen me in years." Tyler could not resist twisting the knife further. "She came to me for comfort, bro. All your money and responsibility, and you could not even satisfy your wife. Maybe if you were not such a control freak playing the perfect son while making me look bad, none of this would have happened." I walked out without another word, driving straight to the hospital. Whether from a need to confess or simply to hurt me more, Amanda had already called my parents by the time I arrived. My father's monitors were beeping rapidly as the nurses tried to stabilize him. My mother sat beside him, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. "We know," she said, simply taking my hand. "We are so sorry, Jermaine. Dad survived the night, but never left the hospital." 3 days later, his lawyer visited his bedside. Though weak, Dad signed the documents, changing his will with a shaky but determined hand. He passed away the following morning, my mother and I at his side. Tyler never came to say goodbye. Mom seemed to give up after Dad died. Despite the doctor's efforts, she followed him just 2 weeks later. I was now truly alone, orphaned and betrayed by the only other people I had ever loved. The reading of the will took place in a somber conference room at the lawyer's office. To everyone's surprise, Tyler actually showed up, Amanda trailing behind him like a shadow. They sat across from me, expectant looks on their faces. Tyler had always assumed he would receive at least half of everything. The realization that our parents had left me the entire estate, the business, and the full $2 million inheritance hit him like a physical blow. "This cannot be right," he sputtered, looking at the lawyer in disbelief. "They would never cut me out completely. There must be a mistake." The lawyer, who had known our family for decades, simply adjusted his glasses and continued reading the document. Not only had our parents left everything to me, but they had included a specific clause stating their decision was made with full knowledge of Tyler's character and actions, which have demonstrated his unsuitability to manage any portion of the family assets. Amanda's face drained of color as she realized their plan had backfired spectacularly. They had assumed Tyler would receive his share of the inheritance, which would solve their financial problems. Instead, they were left with nothing but each other. The divorce proceedings began immediately. Amanda tried to negotiate for a settlement, claiming the years she had supported my career entitled her to a substantial portion of our assets. Her pregnancy complicated matters until paternity testing confirmed what we already knew: the child was not mine. 6 months after discovering the affair, our divorce was finalized, and I never had to see either of them again. Or so I thought. Rebuilding my life took time. The family business actually thrived under my full control. I implemented new systems, secured larger contracts, and hired talented staff who respected the company's legacy. My days were productive, but my evenings remained empty. Trust did not come easily after such profound betrayal. 6 months after the divorce, an unfamiliar number appeared on my phone. Against my better judgment, I answered. Tyler's voice, lacking its usual arrogance, barely registered above a whisper. "Jermaine, I know I am the last person you want to hear from, but I need help. We are desperate." At first I hung up without responding. The calls continued for days, followed by texts describing their deteriorating situation. According to Tyler, he and Amanda were living in a rundown apartment in a dangerous neighborhood. Amanda's pregnancy had developed complications, requiring specialized care they could not afford. They had exhausted their limited resources and had nowhere else to turn. I asked my assistant to discreetly investigate their situation before responding. What she discovered was revealing. Tyler had indeed lost his latest job for showing up intoxicated. They were behind on rent and utilities. Amanda had been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, requiring regular medical care. But Tyler had also been approaching other family members, with various versions of their story collecting money without making any real changes to their circumstances. After much deliberation, I arranged to meet them both at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. They arrived looking appropriately disheveled, Amanda's belly now prominently showing her 7-month pregnancy. Tyler launched immediately into a well-rehearsed speech about having learned his lesson and turning over a new leaf. Amanda sat silently, eyes downcast occasionally, placing a protective hand over her stomach. I let Tyler finish his performance before speaking. I have heard everything you said, and I have also spoken with Cousin Michael, Aunt Susan, and Uncle Robert. Interesting how each of them heard a slightly different version of your great transformation. Tyler's facade cracked instantly. You always think you are so much better than everyone else, do you not? So I asked for help from family. What is wrong with that? Nothing, except you have been using the money for pills rather than preparing for your child. Amanda finally looked up, genuine fear in her eyes. He promised he was clean. I believed him. For the first time since entering the cafe, I addressed her directly. You believed me too once. How did that work out for you? The conversation that followed was unlike any we had ever had. With nowhere left to hide, and no more lies to tell, Tyler finally broke down. Not the theatrical tears he had used to manipulate our parents, but real, ugly sobbing that came from a place of genuine desperation. He admitted to still struggling with addiction, to having spent most of their money on pills, to having no plan for supporting Amanda or the baby. I have failed at everything, he confessed. I always thought I could charm my way through life, that someone would always bail me out. But now, there is nobody left. I ruined everything with you, with Mom and Dad, and now I am ruining my chance to be a father. Amanda watched him crumble, with a look of resigned recognition, as if finally seeing clearly the man she had chosen over me. After a long silence, I shared my decision. I would not give them money directly, but I would pay for Amanda's medical care to ensure the health of the child. I would establish a trust fund for my future nephew or niece that neither Tyler nor Amanda could access for anything besides education and health care. Most importantly, if Tyler truly wanted my help beyond that, he would need to commit to rehab, followed by a position at the company starting at the very bottom, under strict supervision with regular drug testing. Why would you help us at all, after what we did? Amanda asked softly. I am not helping you, I clarified. I am helping an innocent child who deserves a chance regardless of how selfish his parents are. And I am giving my brother one last opportunity to become someone our parents would have been proud of, though he will have to earn every bit of respect back the hard way. Tyler initially balked at the strict conditions, especially the entry-level position. I am still your brother. You cannot treat me like some random employee. You stopped being my brother the day you decided to sleep with my wife. Now you are just someone who shares my blood and needs a job. Take it or leave it. In the end, he accepted my terms. Not graciously, but desperately. It was a start. 1 year later, the landscape of my life had transformed entirely. The business expanded to neighboring states, and I found personal fulfillment in mentoring young people interested in construction careers. Tyler worked steadily at the company, starting in the warehouse, and gradually earning small promotions through consistent effort. His sobriety remained a daily battle, but one he seemed increasingly committed to fighting. Amanda delivered a healthy baby boy they named Jackson. Seeing him for the first time stirred complicated emotions in me. Despite everything, he was still my nephew, an innocent connection to my family legacy. I maintained a careful distance while ensuring his needs were met through the trust I had established. My own heart began healing when I met Natalie at a business conference. An architect with her own firm, she approached relationships with the same straightforward honesty she applied to her designs. Our connection developed slowly, built on mutual respect and careful communication. She knew my full story and never rushed my cautious steps back toward trust. On the anniversary of our father's death, I visited the cemetery alone. As I placed flowers on both graves, a familiar voice spoke behind me. "I thought I might find you here." Tyler stood a respectful distance away, more composed than I had seen him in years. The physical transformation was remarkable. His face filled out, clear-eyed, dressed in clean work clothes. "Jackson is starting to look like Dad," he said after a moment. "Around the eyes. I brought pictures if you want to see them." We sat on a nearby bench, the autumn sun warming our shoulders as Tyler showed me photos of his son. For the first time in our lives, we spoke honestly about our childhood, our parents, and the damage we had both caused and received. "I will never be able to make up for what I did to you," Tyler said finally, "but I want Jackson to know his uncle. I want him to learn from you what it means to be honorable, because I am still figuring it out myself." I did not offer forgiveness that day. Some betrayals cut too deep for simple reconciliation. But I did offer continued opportunity, the chance to keep building something worthwhile from the ruins of our past. Not as the brothers we once were, but as the men we were still becoming. The boundaries I established were not walls but guidelines, creating a new relationship defined by earned respect rather than obligatory love. In helping Tyler find redemption, I discovered my own path to peace, not through forgetting the past, but by refusing to be defined by it. I have learned that family is not just who shares your blood, but who honors your trust. Sometimes the hardest person to set boundaries with is the one who has known you longest. Sometimes the greatest gift is not endless forgiveness, but the chance to earn back what was lost one day at a time. What would you do if someone who betrayed you deeply came asking for help? Would you offer conditional support like I did? Walk away completely, or try to forgive and forget? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories about navigating complex family relationships. Thank you for listening. And remember that creating healthy boundaries is not selfish. It is necessary for genuine healing.